1340 WJOL presents A Rich Conversation with Rich Rennick. No politics, no controversy. Just the lively art of conversation about interesting people in our world. Here's Rich Rennick.
As our day continues, remember that no act of kindness, no matter how small, is ever wasted. Hi, hello, how are you? And welcome to A Rich Conversation. I'm Rich Rennick, and our conversation today is going to take place with a talented singer, songwriter, musician, a young lady from Oak Lawn, local talent. Her name is Shannon Baker. Shannon, welcome to A Rich Conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. Happy to be here.
It's not too often we have an opportunity to reach locally to find somebody like you who has picked a career path that is associated with a lot of uncertainties. But you apparently thought a little bit about music being a part of your life early on.
Oh, yeah. I've always thought about it being a life, like, part of my life forever. Like, since I was little, I've always gravitated towards it. Like, you say the things of, oh, yeah, I could see myself being a teacher, or I could see myself doing PR, which is what I studied, and, like, a bunch of other things. But at the end of the day, I'd always be going back to music and wanted to do it on the weekends and all that stuff. So I just knew that it was something I wanted to make a bigger part of my life.
Yeah, and you did. Now, if there's any doubt about your interest in music starting at a young age, what happened in second grade? And a talent show came up. And now, second grade, you're like, what?
Second grade, I was about 7 years old.
So talk about that, a talent show. A lot of kids would be terrified at the thought of standing in front of some folks and doing it.
Yeah.
Well, you apparently didn't. What was it that you did in the talent show?
I performed Best of Both Worlds by Hannah Montana with my full cowboy hat, cowboy boots, get-up. I was ready to take on the world. And I remember the other girls that were in my grade all did, like, a collective dance number to, like, a different song. And then I was like, no, I'm going to do a solo piece with a cowboy hat. You know, just the most attitude thing I possibly could have for a 7-year-old. But that's all thanks to my babysitter. She sang locally in a band around town. And whenever she would babysit me, we would just play music, and she would sing with me around the kitchen with spoons and all that. And, like, so my confidence was already there with singing. I was like, I have fun with it all the time, so it's only going to be fun on the stage in front of a bunch of other people, right?
Yeah. And at what point, Shannon, does that feeling get into your blood, where now it's like an adrenaline rush?
I don't really know. I don't know when it, like, got into my blood. I think it's just always been there. They got rid of the talent show, and I remember, like, 2 years went by, and I just wanted an excuse to perform again, and I wasn't in, like, theater like a lot of the other girls were. Like, I was in sports, so the talent show was my only way to do it. Didn't have it, so I started a petition around the school to get it back, and got every different grade to sign, and then they brought the talent show back for my last 3 years there. So. And
you participated in each year?
Oh, yeah. And then the last year I did an original song. So the songwriting already started before 8th grade. So
when you talk about songwriting, that takes on a whole different set of talents and skills. Mm-hmm. And when you're writing, are you writing about events with people you know or within yourself?
It's everything. Like, sometimes you can write a song about somebody you know, or about a show you just watched. Like, a movie will leave you on some cliffhanger, and let's say you write a song about how you think it's going to go after the movie or whatever. I've done that in the past. Or it could be a combination of how you feel mixed with what somebody else is going in one song. I don't just write about myself or write about other people. I'm going to bring up my favorite of all time, Paul McCartney. He writes a lot of songs about himself and Linda McCartney and all that stuff, but he also just makes up random stories. Mm-hmm. And that's what I kind of like doing. I just don't limit myself to, it has to follow this structure of, it has to relate everything to me. Like, no.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, I'll go through, like, a heartache or something, and people will be like, oh, is this song all about this guy, or was it about this guy? Or I'm like, yeah. It's actually not about any of them. Yeah. I've not written a song about them.
Now, some performers are people watchers and get their ideas and their motivation or their inspiration from watching people. Have you done that yet?
Oh, absolutely. It's funny that you bring that up, like the people watching. I think comedians and musicians have a lot in common of how we get, like, our art type, because you just look at other people and observations of the world around you, and you make some kind of art form with it, whether it's jokes or music. And some of my favorite artists do both, where they can kind of have a little bit of humor in their song while also getting a message across. So yeah, I do it all the time. Everything I see, I normally will go back to when I'm thinking about music.
Now, I couldn't help notice you have a guitar with you.
I do.
I do. So could you give us a little demonstration of a song that you've written, a Shannon Baker song, about one of the things we were just talking about, people?
Absolutely. This song I wrote about a situation that happened to one of my friends that they were kind of in the wrong, and I'm playing devil's advocate here, trying to find why my friend would do this, and I know that their intentions were good, so I'm trying to justify why they would do something that I don't necessarily agree with. So that's what this song's about.
I've been a sinner, I've been alive, I've been unconsciously thinking that I'll make it out alive. It's been unspoken, well, I've been untrue about the places I've been, but never my love for you. Here I stand at the hand of getting caught. I can beg for forgiveness, but that's not what I want. You can hate me forever till your dying breath. I just need you to know it's my biggest regret. Here in the silence, words have become. My dear, I have so much to say, but I won't take back what I've done. You've got your choices, you make them alone. Selfishly want you to stay, but I never can blame you to go. Here we are at the start of our demise, but before you go, need to know I realize of the future, the past, and the person I had. All the good times that might as well all have been damned.
Wow. A song like that, what started first, the lyrics or the melody?
That one, so I was just strumming away at a guitar. So sometimes, as a writer, I swear to God, every time I grab my guitar, I just slap a capo on a random part of the guitar, and I'll just pick a chord and pick a rhythm and see if anything sticks out, and normally nothing. And then there's sometimes that I'll put like I put the capo on one, and then just right away, it was right away I was strumming it like the way that the song went.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't thinking about, I never sit down and think I'm going to write about this situation or whatever, but then the song's mood kind of spoke to me or whatever, and then I like let it make itself. And yeah, so it was the strumming came first, and then once I had the first verse, then I kind of knew where I wanted to take it with like, you know, the next couple parts. I knew what the song wanted to say, and I like followed that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Now, when you were in second grade, the talent show that you performed in, you probably were just singing along with the song or singing along with the music.
Yeah.
All righty. So at what point did you decide that you wanted to learn an instrument, and why the guitar?
My parents were talking to this one person who was in the music business or something that they were friends with. They were like, oh, Shannon's really interested in singing and all that stuff. And I started writing when I was 8. So they were kind of like, she really wants to start this, and I think we should like kind of nurture it. And they asked, should we get her into singing lessons? And the person told them no, which I think is weird. But they were like, no, you shouldn't. Like, it might mess up her voice if she does it too young. Which I don't think that that's a thing. But whatever. Anyway, it kind of probably did help me, because then I went and did guitar lessons instead, because I wanted to do something in music. So I just was like, all right, I'll learn an instrument instead of taking voice lessons. And I picked guitar over piano because at the time, Demi Lovato, who was on like a popular Disney show, played guitar, and I thought she was so cool. So I wanted to be like her. I was like, I want to play the guitar like Demi Lovato, which I don't think she actually really does play the guitar. It was just for the show. But now I play the guitar.
But that was the inspiration that got you going. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Now, when I was in radio back in 1968, in the early days of radio, Shannon, the process was a group would get together, and if they thought they were good enough, they would record a local record and bring it to a radio station. And then the disc jockey was usually the one who decided what to play. And if it was on the radio, it could get momentum because people could hear it. Well, now, as an independent artist, things have changed.
Oh, yeah.
Things have changed. There's a lot of competition. So talk about what is the process that you, Shannon Baker, are using to expose your music, which is fabulous, to a group of people who haven't heard that song yet.
So I think that there's a lot of ways to do it right now that I should get on. Like, I know TikTok is a huge thing and whatever. I'll eventually get to that stuff, but right now I'm kind of just doing it kind of the old-fashioned way of going out and playing at different venues and exposing it to people live and all that, and doing things like podcasts or wherever they'll take me. I mean, I think it's important to move around, meet new people, and yeah, you can have someone listen to your song on like Spotify or something if they share it, which I think is awesome, but I get joy from seeing people like hear it and all that, and then they can share it with their friends and say like, "Oh, this is really cool." Like,
and you can watch a reaction.
Yeah. Oh, I love seeing a reaction when it's live. That's fun.
Now, doing a solo performance with the guitar, just mesmerizing to watch the talent of a performer like yourself to be able to play, sing, and knowing that you wrote the songs and the melody and so forth. But now comes the time that you're going to want to produce it and you want to add something to it. So now you have to structure the concept of a band.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about that.
Oh, I would love to. I can't shut up about these guys. Initially, so I'm part of like the Southside music scene, I would say, which it's cringy to say that, but it's true. There's a huge Southside music scene of a bunch of different bands: Railway Gamblers, the Deadbolts, the Deadlicks, South City Revival, just a bunch of them, like Harlem Natural, Coyote Riot. I have to shout them all out now, you know, because they're going to listen to it and be like, hey, you didn't say my band's name. But so I came in really young, and everyone else kind of had their bands established, and I came in with 1,000 songs, playing on my own, like cover music, but I had all these originals, and I was friends with all the bands, and they all liked me and all that stuff, and then one time, one of my friends who's in my band now, Fitz, was like, why don't you have your own band? You know, you have good originals. Why have you ever thought about asking one of us or anything? And I was like, you would play with me? And I was like, I thought that you guys were already in your established bands and you wouldn't want to play with me, you know?
Yeah.
And they were like, no, they were like, you could probably ask anybody around here, and they would love to. And I was like, all right, I'll test that waters.
Yeah.
And then so I have Dan Kane from Coyote Riot and Railway Gamblers. He's our lead guitarist, and he's just amazing. He's the most friendly. The thing is, so I asked when I went about asking my band members, I didn't pick them out because I was like, I think you're the best guitar player, and I think you're the best drummer, or like I need like the coolest, best band. I asked the guys who treated me the most like a person, who were the nicest, and they were talented, and I liked what they did. But the main thing was that they treated me with respect and all that, and we just had a good time. And I ended up making probably like the best band I could have asked for. We have great chemistry, we have fun, and they have made my songs come to life in a way that I didn't think that they could. Because like when you write the song, you do kind of hear in your head other parts that you want in them, but like they brought out parts that I didn't even know that I wanted.
Yeah. And always pick somebody who's better.
Always, yeah.
Always pick somebody who is better. When you talk about selecting musicians, there's a story of Alison Krauss. Do you know Alison Krauss?
Oh, yeah.
And her band Union Station. Well, she wanted Jerry Douglas to be a part of it, but she was afraid to ask because he's the renowned dobro guy in Nashville. She was afraid to ask. So she finally had the opportunity and reached out to Jerry Douglas and asked if he would want to be a part of Union Station. And he said, I thought you would never ask.
See? Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So he wanted to be a part. She wanted him to be a part. Neither wanted to be the one to ask the first.
Yeah.
So I guess I tell that story because that's the key, I think, to a lot of success. You just never know who's going to be available to say, yeah, I'd love to.
Exactly.
I would. Now, you have a whole bunch of songs that are already recorded. They're available on a lot of the social media platforms, the music platforms, and you have a CD coming out. What do you call your group?
Shannon Baker and the Burners.
The Burners. Why the Burners?
It's layered. One, I just think it's cool. Fire's cool. And it's got the alliteration of the Baker, the Burners. And we've thought of 1,000 names that we were going to do. And last second, I was like, what about Shannon Baker and the Burners? And they were all like, yeah, sure, why not? And also, they may partake in a few. It just fits everything, kind of. And we burn, you know? Fire to the stage.
You're hot. You're hot.
There we go.
There you go.
Well, they're the hot ones.
They're the hot.
They're the burners. But Shannon Baker and the Burners.
You're listening to A Rich Conversation. I'm Rich Rennick, and our guest today is Shannon Baker, and she's a local Oak Lawn resident, singer, songwriter, musician, and destined for a lot of greatness. And we're exposing you to some of her music here so that you understand a little bit about what it takes to get to a point where you're comfortable in what you're doing and you're ready for people to hear it. And Shannon is doing that right now. Now, talk about the album Gone Too Soon. Now, Shannon, you have 12 great songs on this album. Now, you wrote all of these.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm looking at some of the titles here. Each one of these titles kind of conjures up, what in the world was that song about? What inspired you? Let me just pick one here. How about The Woman's Ride? What's that one all about?
All right, yeah. So Woman's Ride, that song is about just how people can be hypocrites when they think about a woman and what they want from them. It's kind of, I was raised in the Catholic Church and all that stuff, and so I got to see how, like, their expectations on waiting till marriage and all that stuff, or whatever, or that. So that's part of the song, and it deals with a little bit of religion, and then also it's just kind of the hypocrisy of men, or just anyone in general, of when they look at a woman and they desire them or they want them. That's fine in the moment for them, and then once they get it, like, it's fine. But then if a woman does it and it's not for them, then that's the problem, and she should be ashamed or something like that. So just kind of addressing that. And also, I remember seeing something online about, oh, why would she wear that, like, if she, like, doesn't want a man looking at her? And I was kind of, like, just dealing with, like, why would he say that? And if he is attracted to a woman, then what's the problem? It was me kind of putting my thoughts on paper of what that whole situation was. I don't know. So
okay.
Yeah.
Well, the song is called A Woman's Ride, written and performed by Shannon Baker.
Blankets of blackness cover the sways of your eyes. Virtues and lusting are broken and busted until you reset your mind. Stick to your guns, keep the
There you go. An original song by Shannon Baker. Now, Shannon, how do we get the music? How do we get your songs?
For sure. I mean, it's on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube Music, Google Music. It's everywhere that you can get music online. It's there for you. So you look up Shannon Baker and the Burners, Gone Too Soon, we will be there for you. And we're getting CDs shipped in now, so if you come to a show, then feel free to buy a CD.
So how do you work in the rehearsals? Now you've got guys from different bands that they have their bands that they're working with, but they're also working with you. How do you work the rehearsals and select the material that you're going to do for your set?
Yeah, so 3 of the guys in my band are in a band called Harlem Natural, and then our Dan Kane is part of Railway Gamblers as their bass player, and he's also the lead guitarist of Coyote Riot. And they play all the time, so it just kind of, and they practice all the time, you know, you play all the time, you practice all the time. So I was initially really terrified of like, we will never be able to get together. I'm going to show them these songs, they're going to learn them, but then we're never going to be able to write together or whatever. But that was not the problem, because like the guys really enjoyed like the project that we were doing with this. I think it was just kind of a different way for them to express themselves. It was kind of like they can just kind of let loose and experiment in this project. And so yeah, it hasn't been too much of a problem getting practice time because they're excited to do it.
Yeah.
So that's been really awesome. It's not like forcing them like, hey, come on, guys, I need you to do it. It's kind of like they'll reach out and be like, are we going to practice?
Yeah. and you do. Now, of all the songs you've written, Shannon, which is the one that you enjoy performing the most?
Oh my gosh, it changes all the time. I'd say, okay, so Seeing Gold, the chorus of Seeing Gold, every single time. I mean, the Fitz, our drummer, and Corbett, our bass player, they both sing with me on the chorus, and it's just a really big chorus. It starts slow, it's a very dramatic song, but then when it gets to the chorus, it's very rewarding to sing that live.
I've been seeing gold where the sun don't shine, where the tears run dry.
Alrighty, Shannon, what is next on your agenda? You got so many things in the works here. Tell me what's next on your agenda here. Shannon Baker from Oak Lawn, singer, songwriter, musician. What's up?
So yeah, I'm super excited. We're putting out a single called Woman. I mean, none of the songs really sound the same on our album, so you're going to find something you like on the album. Like, I guarantee at least one of them, you'd be like, oh, okay, I can listen to this more than once without my ears bleeding. But this one, it's just it's a fun song.
Well, we're going to be hearing a lot more about Shannon Baker. Shannon Baker and, of course, the Burners. That's the name of the group. You're going to be hearing more about them. Can't thank you enough for being here on A Rich Conversation, and want to wish you all the best in your career. And I know we're going to be hearing a lot more from Shannon Baker.
Woo! Thanks so much for having me. It's been fun.
Please mark your calendar for 1 week from today for another Rich Conversation. I'm Rich Rennick, and thank you for making us a part of your day.